This past year has been especially poignant for me as my time here on the council comes to a close. And it's been quite a journey as I reflect the 12 years on this dais. And I'm just amazed at what we've been able to accomplish. You heard from Councilmember Navarro. I was sitting at Summer House at Pike and Rose yesterday and just looked around and thought to myself that this happened because of us. Mid-Pike Plaza used to be the home of one of the most vibrant places in Montgomery County under our watch. As we had the breakfast with MBIA at the brand new Marriott Hotel right next to Marriott headquarters in downtown Bethesda, and you look at all of those bright and shiny buildings that are there that happened under our watch. You can't help but be proud of what it is that we've been able to do over the course of this time. The record number of schools that we've constructed, public buildings like libraries and other public facilities that have come online. We've done a lot of good things. I remember when we came into this, and we came in during a recession, staring down a Clarksburg taxing district decision that I had to make, all while facing mid-year savings plan and a challenging budget that involved difficult cuts, including our school system, to try and put the county on a more sustainable path. We were debating about the future of school resource officers. Sounds familiar. And, we continue to this day to still assess the plan of how we move forward between the partnership of our schools and our police. And this past year has certainly highlighted the critical need to ensure that our safety of our children and those that are teaching and administrating in our schools is an utmost priority, coupled with the social and emotional needs of everyone that are in those buildings. I reflect back in 2014 when I served as council president, and we had some very difficult challenges posed by the Great Recession and the aftermath in its FY15 budget. Sound familiar, Council President Albornoz? It was during this year we were able to kind of turn a corner with MCPS and the Board of Education, really galvanizing a relationship that now continue to exist, allowing for new initiatives and programming to be put in place. And it really was a year where we were able to do a lot of great things in addressing our county's needs and varying priorities. It seems that during our tenure on this council, we've always had these insurmountable obstacles, but somehow we found the ability to be able to rise above them and continue moving our county forward. But nothing's hit us as hard as this pandemic has. Certainly realizing that this pandemic is certainly not over. You see so many of us up here wearing our masks again. And we've collaborated and innovated to make sure that the essential supports and resources that are necessary for our community are there for those who need them most. I am proud of everything that we have done to protect our residents and support them. I am proud of our values. I was at graduation for Gallaudet University, where Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, was the graduation speaker. And he said one of the biggest things that he does is make sure that he leads with his values. This budget represents our values. It is a document reflecting what is most important to our community, including over half of our budget going to our Montgomery County Public Schools. Why? Because our children are our priority. As the son of an educator, I can't tell you how important it is and how fulfilling it has been to be the chair of the council's Education and Culture Committee, because I know that education is at the core of all that we hold sacred in our community. And our strong educational partners, Montgomery County Public Schools, Montgomery College, and the universities of Shady Grove, continue to provide those innovative and accessible pathways that ensure the success of our community. And as you heard, we will benefit from the great work of the Kirwan Commission and the Blueprint, receiving $38.8 million in new funding that will help to support the wraparound services like what Councilmember Navarro has spearheaded with having our wellness centers in all of our schools. It means so much, and we see it now because so many of our children are hurting. We need to provide that support from pre-K to J to ensure that our kids are supported and on their path to success. We made an early care and education coordinating entity this year in the midst of a pandemic, prioritizing the focus on pre-kindergarten, making sure that we have a structure that's in place to think about how we develop high quality childcare here in Montgomery County. One of the main reasons why Councilmember Navarro got into this, focusing on that, knowing how important it was. And finally, the investment in girls sports is one that is incredibly important to me as the father of two daughters, because I think that it helps to address some of the inequities of the past. The gender disparities in sports start early, and it really is important for us to make sure that girls benefit from the improved health, social, and emotional life outcomes that come from participating in sports. And so when I look at this operating budget as a whole, I thank our partners. I thank Montgomery County Public Schools for tapping into their resources. I thank Montgomery College for digging deep and tapping into their resources, understanding that we need to do this together. We are trying to accomplish a common goal, which is to ensure that we have an educational ecosystem that addresses equity and makes sure that we have coordination amongst all of our partners. That is the reason why the Ready Institute, in my partnership with Councilmember Reamer and Dr. Kademian, I think is really going to be so important to the future of this educational ecosystem here in Montgomery County. And Montgomery College, how can I not thank you enough for continuing to answer the need when it comes to building our workforce of tomorrow, retooling those who know that they want to enter into different career pathways, and focusing on so many things that we know are so important. The Isaiah and Catherine Leggett building will be an amazing testament to the continued support of why it is that Montgomery College remains one of the best community colleges in the nation. So I just want to go back to something that is the reason why I got into elected office. When my wife and I moved to Germantown, I noted that there wasn't a hospital. And I said to her, why do we have to drive all the way down to Shady Grove? Doesn't make any sense. My wife was pregnant at the time, obviously. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to quit my job and run for office because I want to make a difference. And my wife looked at me like I was crazy, like she does every day, and said, what do you mean? And I said, I think I can make a difference. I think I can actually make a change. And she said, you know what? I believe in you. It is amazing to think now, 16 years later, about what it is that I've been able to accomplish. Shady Grove Emergency Center was the first kind of foray we had at having public health in Germantown, followed years later by Holy Cross Germantown. But it didn't stop there. It continued on, and I can't be more proud of what we just opened in partnership with Montgomery College and Montgomery County Public Schools and county government. That's the Ignite Hub, something that is now just gaining traction, that everybody is realizing how big this truly is. A partnership between Apple Corporation, Montgomery County Public Schools, Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, and Montgomery College all coming together to make sure that there's a space that brings opportunity to aspiring entrepreneurs, students, and small business. And this past weekend, we celebrated this grand opening, and it's received amazing response. I can't tell you how many people in the community have reached out who want to be a part. When you talk about leaving a legacy, I'm so lucky. I've been so blessed. And if I were to reflect on anything that could be my lasting legacy, it is that Ignite Hub, something that represents the future of education and connectivity for so many who find themselves disconnected from the technological age. Education is a strong part of my identity, and so too is being a Black man and the unique responsibilities that come as serving as a person of color in this position. I know that Council President Albornoz, Councilmember Jawando, and Councilmember Navarro know this weight of responsibility far too well. People look to us as the voice. They look to us as the representatives of the community. That weighs heavy on your shoulders. But I think that we have been very, very well supported by our colleagues in ensuring that our BIPOC community is prioritized when it comes to addressing some of the inequities that we've seen in the history of this county. And now with the work that Councilmember Navarro did in having the racial equity and social justice, we have it as a part of the framework of everything that we do. It's great to see our African American Health Program, our Latino Health Initiative, Por Nuestra Salud y Bienestar, our Asian American Health Initiative, all coming together to focus on things that we know are incredibly important to us, including highlighting the importance of dental and maternity care, especially in light of what we're seeing now with the breastfeeding initiative and we're seeing with the lack of formula. And then our community partners, the consolidation services hubs who stepped up. Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you, including Graciela Rivera-Oven, who did an amazing job in spearheading this effort that then spread across the county. We have invested in people and places all of this time that we knew would benefit all of us, including our arts and culture community encompassing 500 cultural organizations, 2,000 artists and scholars, providing cultural diversity and economic vitality to this county. And while this budget has a modest increase to the arts, I know that additional investment is going to be needed to address the equitable funding needs of this vital community. I look forward to working with Susan Jenkins and my colleagues on the Education and Culture Committee and all of my colleagues to make sure that we can develop this incredible economic engine that is here in Montgomery County. So we've heard a lot about some of the fiscal structures, and so I'm not going to go into that in detail, but just want to thank folks for their support. Incredibly important Observation Drive and others that are there. The walk sheds, they're all incredibly important to us because without those, we lack the connectivity and lacks the support that's necessary. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank my good friend and partner on so many initiatives, Council President Albornoz. Sir, you have done a remarkable job in your leadership. You have led with your values. You have truly made sure that we don't forget what is important to all of us and who we serve. I want to thank my colleagues on the Education and Culture Committee, Councilmember Navarro and Councilmember Juando. You know, I'm not sure there has ever been or will ever be as effective an Education and Culture Committee as this one. I mean, we can hope, and I certainly pray that my future colleagues will step up, but we have certainly set the high bar when it comes to Education and Culture Committees. So I've been referred to as the senior statesman. I think Councilmember Navarro has me beat by 6 months, but at the time, I was the youngest African-American to ever serve on the council. Councilmember Juando trumped me with that one. But I hope that the diversity of this council will continue to trend in a direction that continues to reflect our community in both age, gender, and racial and ethnic makeups, as well as gender identity. It is incredibly important for us to see ourselves in our leaders. I want to close by thanking my staff. My staff has been there with me since day one. And that's unique. From the very first day, Daniela Moya Gaber, Rose Taylor, Sharon Ledner, and Steve Goldstein, from the beginning to where we are today. And I'm so happy to be joined by new colleagues who came on, like Kristen Tribble, who does an amazing job, and Judy Stevenson, who we just brought on. But I want to tell you something, because the responsibilities that we have in terms of making sure that we solidify the future, we actually brought on Nicole Rodriguez-Hernandez, who then Marlene Michelson stole from me. It's okay. I don't take it personally. But it really is important for us to make sure that we're focusing on the future. And that's the reason why one of our former second runner-up for Councilmember for a Day, Angela Yu, who's in the audience today, came to intern with us and has been doing an amazing job. She's actually at Georgetown University. And guess what she's doing this summer, guys? She's interning to work with the State Department on anti-human trafficking policy internationally. And in an email, yes. And as in an email, she said that her work in working with our office helped to solidify her in understanding what it is that she wanted to do in the future in terms of her public service. Legacy, values. It is all incorporated not only in our budget, but how we live our lives and what it is that we do. And so as I reach the end of my watch as your county council member representing District 2, I would just want to say thank you. Thank the voters for the opportunity to serve them. I hope that I have led my district well. I hope to my colleagues to please continue the great things that I built upon previous councils, and hope that you build on our work to continue to make Montgomery County, my home county, one of the best places to live, work, and play. So thank you, Mr. President.